unsung narrative. Young, dumb American, arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Trying to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar has been the hardest. The scars on my face said I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess so lit, I guess so bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will...
Ladies and gentlemen, come on. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. We get hang with the fellas. Little sports nonsense and whiskey action, boys. Cheers. Pinky, Robert, how we doing this evening?
Man, my liver needs a break, bro. This weekend was rough
Tuesday.
on me.
There's been so many nerd things happening. Pinky, grow up. Just kidding.
Oh.
Whoa, easy. I'm at level 44, okay? When you get to level 44, after a weekend of drinking, come talk to me.
Anthony, stick with us, buddy. It's a long show. Stick with us.
It sounds like excuses in that you're saying you're old, which I thought we don't talk about, but that's okay.
I'm still drinking, though, because nobody likes a quitter. So
Damn straight. So, maybe not complain.
Well, that's how we're starting tonight. All right, here we go. Robert, how you feeling?
I just want to be clear. He signed up for this since Saturday.
He's sassy today, so he's
he's ready to go
today. It's been happening since.
We'll see how this goes.
This is the world's smallest violin playing "My Heart Bleeds for Pinky."
Oh wow! Just wait till we talk about the Lions, Pinky. Oh boy,
the Lions fucking have no. Dan Campbell fucked us.
Easy.
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 But there's plenty of nerd things happening that make this week so much better.
Whew.
So it's fine. It's fine.
USA.
It's
USA.
After this, I have Skeleton Crew to watch, so we're good.
Well, at least that'll make you happy. Jesus. All right.
I didn't say I'm unhappy. I just said I was.
Okay. All right.
God, besides football Sunday, I don't think I took in a lot of sports this last weekend. As well as I don't think I did anything. I didn't watch any movies, no shows, nothing. I was boring.
Secret level, 10 out of 10. Quick anthology series. It'll take you like an hour and a half to get through. Highly recommend.
Okay.
Pac-Man's changed forever. Whatever Bandai Namco are doing now, it's okay. I don't know how I feel about it, but my childhood's changed forever.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? There's the Lord of the Rings movie that's out that I'm gonna probably go watch this weekend.
Battle of the Rohirrim.
Yes, War of the Rohirrim, and then I'll be watching
War of the Rohirrim. Sorry.
So got those coming. Yeah, that's big nerd things happening. Life has been good.
I want to check that one out too, but I don't think I'll have time for that I don't know. Yeah, I probably won't have time for that unless I go Friday night. So we've got the we're gonna head up to Denver and make a day of things up in Denver on Saturday.
Yeah. Do it.
Oh, all right, boys. Any other nerd stuff? Are we ready to rock? Well, we can nerd stuff later too.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be things later. It's fine. We can get into sports. I'm game. Let's do it.
All right. Well, then let's start with we got a guest kind of joining on it with us. He is a fellow colleague and friend from Texas, Michael Lopez. Let's bring him on.
What's up, dudes?
What's up, my guy? How you doing?
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Man.
Okay.
Cheers.
What are you drinking, Michael?
I got a little bit of Woodford in here.
Okay.
A little bit of Woodford. Yeah.
Solid.
Oh, I will say I'm drinking Breckenridge this evening, gentlemen. I had to switch
There you go.
So.
Woodford is really good for old fashions.
Yeah, it's that one I sent you, that banana nut one. So it's got that walnut bitters, chocolate bitters, a little bit of banana liquor, and a dream. That's all that's in there right there. So,
Oh man.
yeah, man. Feeling good.
That sounds really good. I was almost out of whiskey. I
Ooh.
don't want to break up another bottle of Eagle Rare just yet.
Yeah.
So I drank I got the rest of my 291 that my son got me for Christmas last year.
There you go.
So this is the last bit of that bottle.
Nice. Well, appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, we appreciate you coming, buddy. We love chopping it up. We love different opinions, and we definitely like talking about, there's different fans everywhere. So we usually like to start talking a little bit about like your fandom.
Okay.
What teams you root for, and any special moments or stories you want to share about where your fandom comes from.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, unfortunately, I was born and raised a Cowboys fan. So, but I was born in '98, so I don't get to claim the glory of their Super Bowl. So all I've ever known is heartbreak. So, when that happens, I'm just used to it. So my dad was a Cowboys fan, grandpa, everybody. So it's just passed down depression, I guess. But one day, 2016, I graduated high school, went to college, and that's when Dak and Zeke looked like football players. I thought we were going to make something happen, but it just didn't happen like that. I'm an Astros fan, so I have had some good success on that end. That just came from going to games as a kid. So I actually went to the World Series in 2019 when we lost.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was the crazy. I got home from class. I had an 8 a.m. class that day. It was like a Wednesday, I think. And my buddy was from Houston. His dad, big Houston guy. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" I was like, "Oh man, I'll probably like grill some steaks for the game, whatever." He's like, "You want to go to the game?" And I just started laughing. Me, I'm like, "Whatever, bro." He's like, "No, for real. Like, my dad got us tickets. If you want to go, we got to leave right now, though." And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So I didn't go to class. I threw my Bregman jersey on, and we drove straight to the park. Got there, tailgated, went into the game. Bregman hit a bomb that night to left field, but I was in right field. So it was crazy. It was a crazy experience.
Teacher can excuse that absence on that one.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And my teacher was funnily enough, an Astros fan. So I took like a selfie in front of the banner, like the World Series banner, and then I took my towel, and he excused it, even though we lost. So it was cool. And then I'm a Spurs fan because I'm here in San Antonio. I go to a game every year, if not multiple. Been to a bunch of playoff games. I lived through that as well. I grew up with Tim, Tony, Manu, all the good ones. So I'm hoping Wemby brings us back, and Keldon, and maybe we'll be back in the circle this year. We look pretty decent. I don't know about CP3. I was kind of like back and forth. I like the mixture of Pepper and I don't know, a little old, but we'll see. I mean, that's really it. And then I really root for any Texas team. So college football, I went to an A&M school, but I'm not like gig 'em till I die. So I like seeing UT do good. I grew up in a UT jersey, but like I can't say I'm a fan. So if they start winning now, all of a sudden, I'm not going to be like horns up or whatever. So I kind of just enjoy a good game. So and then other than that, man, I just love watching sports. So yeah.
It's okay to root for the home teams, even if they're not like your diehard team. Nothing wrong with that.
I'll take UT over anybody outside of Texas, but yeah.
So you were born after the Cowboys won, so you've never got to see that joy of the Cowboys winning.
No.
Okay. I don't say this very often, Michael, but I hope the Cowboys get one for you.
Now
Yeah.
here's a good question from the audience: who gets a ring first?
Ooh.
Man,
If I had to bet on any of those, I'd say UT.
yeah.
If I had to bet on any of those, and that's because Arch is going to be there for at least a year.
Yeah, I would say UT.
I mean-
A&M's not looking too good. The Spurs need a couple years. The Astros are kind of rebuilding a little bit, so could happen. But I mean, with the
trading Tucker and then looking to re-sign
Tucker,
Bregman at this
we're probably
point,
going to lose Bregman. So I mean, I wouldn't say them. And then the Cowboys. I mean, I don't know, man.
I mean, the Astros and the Spurs have won one during Michael's lifetime.
Couple,
So, you know, the Cowboys is the one. Like we got to get him. Got to get him a Cowboys one, and he can go to the parade and just have a good time.
Yeah,
it is a completely different feeling. Baseball's fun. Basketball, I went to the Nuggets parade. I went to the Avs parade. They were awesome. It was such a great time. Broncos are on a different level. Like when the Broncos won the Super Bowls, those were just like we're talking 2 million people downtown. Like it's nuts. So
Denver's a cool place. I actually visited a few years ago. Went to a concert out there, so I walked around Denver a little bit, made friends with homeless people, all the good stuff. So
what concert?
Yeah, you missed the good fun downtown Denver by about 10 years.
Oh, really? It was stinky. I would just say that. Like it
used to be like I've been to quite a few downtown areas.
Yeah.
There are very, very few that competed with Denver back in the day because everything, the clubs,
that's what I've heard.
the arenas, the restaurants, everything was downtown. And then things changed a little bit, and the homeless population might have consumed a good portion of it. So it's not what it used to be. But it used to be, I mean, with all the stadiums down there on a good night, I remember one night being up there where it was the best trifecta ever because it was the Avs, the Nuggets, the Broncos, and the Colorado Rapids, which is way north. But all three teams played on the same night in Denver. And downtown, it was a Saturday night, I think, but downtown was absurd that night. After those games ended, everybody came out. It was just packed. It was fun just because of the atmosphere that created. So not what it used to be. And a lot of people are building arenas and stadiums outside of city limits or more in the suburb type of areas. So the likelihood of you getting those types of atmospheres going forward are not quite the same.
Yeah. I think they're just doing it with crowd control. I mean, it makes, if Houston has a game that night, it's like everything's shut down. It's kind of, and with San Antonio, like the Spurs arena is it's not in the heart of downtown. It's kind of right on the outside. So you can hit a game and you don't have to leave, 2 hours early to get some good parking. You can, and then after it's good. So
yeah, it's definitely not bad at all.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a good location where they're at. So
it still blows my mind that the Spurs used to play in the Alamo Dome and they just put up a curtain down the middle to like separate it in half and then kind of put up some grandstand, like such a wild setup that they used to have and go through.
Well, I didn't know that. And I mean, I knew it like subconsciously, but I went to a UTSA game probably a few years ago when they started getting on the map. And I was like, man, I can't believe I remember going to the Spurs games there like a long time ago as a baby. Or seeing, I don't even think I went to a game. I think just seeing a game, like how that even worked.
It's wild. It's wild how they used to run that setup down there.
But they did something last year where they had a few games in the Alamo Dome, like a throwback, and then they went to Austin and stuff. So that's cool, I guess. I'm not a fan of Austin, so stay away. It's too crowded.
Chase is down in Austin.
Yeah, he is. Well, let's see. This is kind of, since you're from '98, we usually like to ask couple quick questions. When it comes to basketball, who's the GOAT?
I knew you were gonna ask. I literally have this conversation with Anthony all the time. I mean, y'all already know what I'm gonna say because of when I was born. So I'm a LeBron guy.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's
I'm 96.
time.
I still
Thanks
say
for joining.
Very
Thanks for joining.
close.
Let's kick him out. Let's go.
Yep.
It's very close.
Pinky, you know that really well.
But I'm a big competition person. So like when I go like you versus me versus like if I play a team, it's kind of like football. Like if we beat the Steelers this year, right? But the Steelers are doing so good, so it's like that win means more than beating the Panthers, right? So like when I look at the guys that were guarding Michael Jordan versus the guys that were guarding LeBron James, that's how I see it. But I think it's very close. I mean, my dad's older, right? So he's an MJ guy. So we go back and forth, and if we're talking rings, neither of them are the GOAT. Mr. Bill Russell, the great, is the GOAT. So I don't even want to hear that one. And then I'm talking impact and longevity. I still think LeBron. I'm not a big stats person because it's a team game. Like I get it. The game of basketball is different back then when Jordan was dominating. But I don't think it's crazy to say the Michael Jordan is the GOAT either. So I mean, I'm not like diehard on LeBron, but if I had to pick one, I would say LeBron. So
Where would you put Kobe, since he kind of falls like MJ was like right before you start having a memory? He's kind of like retired at that point.
Right.
Kobe's kind of your very early young years, and then LeBron's right on his coattails almost. Where would you have Kobe in that conversation?
Truthfully, he's never been in my GOAT category.
Okay.
I mean, I just think, I don't know. I would say that he, like, out of the whole, like, NBA, he's maybe scratches the top 15.
Yeah, I'm good. I could see where he slots into your top 15 somewhere. I mean, he's in the top 20, but
that's
I
kind of where I
get it.
differentiate those is impact. Michael Jordan leaves to go play baseball, and the Bulls still make the finals. I don't think they win. They make the finals. LeBron leaves.
They didn't make the finals.
They made
the
Eastern
playoffs.
Conference.
No, there you go. They made the playoffs. Like LeBron leaves, and Cavs are back to nothing. You look at supporting cast. I mean, you had look at all the people that Jordan played with, on the sense of his, and how long it took him. I think, like, right off the bat, LeBron he came in not only younger, but on the team that the only people I can think back from LeBron's early years are like Mo Williams, Ilgauskas, like, Larry Hughes, people that won't even touch a Hall of Fame ballot, right? But again, it's about the time and the place of where you lived, and I respect the Michael Jordan people, but yeah, Kobe really wasn't doing much until Shaq showed up, and then that kind of, I don't know. I wasn't a huge Kobe fan growing up. I thought, I think he was just big on his mentality. Mamba mentality made him who he was. Like he, played with the broken finger and all this stuff, and
I mean, you could argue the two that he won without Shaq.
That's
what
true.
He carried to finals victories is far less than anything Jordan or LeBron won with.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I think this ends it with Kobe, or with all of them, is neither of them are taking any team down 3-1 to the Warriors that year and coming back and winning that year. I don't think.
I mean, let's be honest. The NBA deciding to suspend Draymond is, that doesn't hurt the situation by any means. So a lot of factors went into that, but it's a nice little check mark in his direction. I'm not going to deny that by any means.
I don't think Durant was on that team when he did it. I think that was
2016. Was that Clay that got hurt then? I thought Clay
got hurt. Draymond just got suspended.
Yeah. Like that was,
and then it completely swung the momentum.
Like the Warriors were said the best basketball team in the history of the game, and LeBron brought them back 3-1.
They were going for back-to-back that year.
Yeah. Next year they got KD in 2017.
Yep. They're going for back-to-back.
That's why I don't even put KD in the talk. No one ever comes at me with KD.
No, we're good. I'm on my own limb where I think Steph was still the best player on that team when KD was there.
Oh, for sure.
So
I love Steph Curry. He's one of my favorite to watch. I mean, yeah. But the NBA. I mean, we can all agree the NBA is different than what it used to be. I mean, I grew up watching Spurs basketball, and it was like 13 passes and then an easy layup. Now it's like 1 pass, 3.
Games evolve. I mean, if you don't want to get off on that agenda, then you're just a get off my lawn guy, because all games evolve outside of baseball, which is part of the reason they are having some struggles these days. But they haven't changed very much at all compared to the other major sports. So you evolve, the game changes a little bit, and the guys from the 80s act like they were playing the same basketball that was in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like, that's how the old heads act a lot of the time. It's like, you weren't. But then again, the 80s, the Jordan rules that the Pistons adopted wasn't even basketball. That was just alley mugging some dude when he came anywhere near you to try and prevent anything from happening. And then you get to, the 90s where Jordan just kind of took over from everything. And then you get the 2000s into what we have now is just the complete morph of the game from almost a European level, where fundamentals from the Europeans is what drove everybody to start playing more outside, because what came over from Europe, they were able to do everything on the court. Maybe not the best defenders, but offensively, they could shoot, they could pass, they could rebound. They did all those basics. And then, guys started pushing further and further out, guards started evolving, and then you get Steph Curry and things blow up to what it is now. And you're seeing somewhat of a resurgence back towards big men mattering. And so
there's one now. Can y'all hear that when I get a text message?
Yeah. Real loud.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn that off, but it's Anthony. Anthony just needs to like talk in the chat instead of telling me.
Chill, Tony. Chill.
The chat.
He's mad about my Kobe slander. So.
So yeah, just it evolves, and I love ball, so I've got no issues with any of it.
Hold on. Let me fix that. That's
no mute Michael for a moment. There we go.
Which also, speaking of basketball, Caleb, good on beating me last week. I was a little salty about that in fantasy.
I beat you?
Yes, you did.
Well,
it wasn't like, it was a good beat. It wasn't like close or anything. You beat me pretty good. Like a good solid 40 points beating. Good.
I just am able to pick the right situations. Apparently,
I suck in that, so we're not talking about that.
Yeah, you're 2-6.
Yeah, I'm bad.
Hey, Michael, before we move off of basketball here a little bit, I got a if you like reading about ball and kind of the history of things, if you will, have you ever heard of the Book of Basketball by Bill Simmons?
Let me look it up. I don't think so.
So he's a lifetime Boston Celtics fan, like hardcore Boston Celtics fan. So it definitely has a heavy bias.
Okay.
But he leans into it. Like, he doesn't try to hide it by any means. But it's a good, he ranks the greatest basketball players of all time. And not only are they ranked, they're put into a pyramid. So the bottom tier is your bottom ranked guys, but he explains why they're not at the next level, and then kind of moves everybody up all the way. So he's updated a handful of times. I don't know how recently. I haven't looked in a while.
Yeah.
But if you like ball and kind of history, it's a good one. It would be a quick read for you.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I'm always looking to read new stuff. So I think I've lost a lot of interest in basketball lately, just with just the way it's played. I mean, I don't know. I still watch it. I mean, I'm a sports fanatic, so I do want to stay well versed in what's going on. But
I get you, man. I probably watch hockey a little bit more attentively than I watch basketball at this point. Depending on the game. Last one for you.
Basketball because I'm in a fantasy team now. Thanks, Caleb.
Right. Yeah, there you go. I could never get into fantasy basketball. I tried and I would forget.
I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I don't get it. And fantasy baseball too. Like, I'll just throw down a parlay of some sort. I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Caleb was like, "Hey, you drafted a really good team." I'm like, "I'm glad somebody knows what I'm freaking doing because I certainly do not."
Yeah.
We get the chat. Hey, should I lock this player in? What should I do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all about matchups, and you got to keep up with who's playing, who's not, because
totally.
On any given day, Joel Embiid is sitting down every other game or whatever.
Right.
Which, I mean, he has now been ruled out for MVP
Yeah.
because he's missed so many games already. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why, like, Tim Duncan would never do that.
No, not at all.
LeBron, I mean, anybody. Maybe LeBron now, but I think we should give him a little bit of credit for being how old he is. But
He's played the most minutes of all time, so we'll give him some grace.
Yeah, even
in Embiid's defense, he does have
how good he is at his age. Like,
yeah,
no,
it's absurd.
Like, I did a report actually on him in college. I was in my bachelor's is in kinesiology, so I did a lot of sports medicine, and we actually talked about muscle stuff, deterioration, and all that. And it's like, for him to be where he's at, jumping as high as he's still jumping, running as he is, like, I don't care what like anybody says. When Mike came back on the Wizards, like, nobody knew who he was. Like, it was just one of those things. Like,
you take a 3-year layoff, that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's pretty amazing.
With LeBron, I'm sure it's more now these days, but a while back he spent $1 million plus a year on just his body.
Yeah. Investment. I mean, it's good.
Now, there's also been a lot of reports of steroid use, HGH, things of that nature that can follow him. And I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really care. If athletes, look, baseball promoted it for close to a decade, if not longer. And then when it finally hit the fan, baseball's like, whoa, we didn't know about it.
Right. It was
yeah, you absolutely knew.
Sosa hitting bombs. Like,
yeah, you absolutely knew what was going on. Like,
oh man,
they had a don't ask, don't tell policy. They were like,
yeah, right. So like, there's levels to it that, like, I don't mind at all. And there's also such fine lines with that stuff that LeBron could have been doing it all legally, spending that kind of money, just pushing whatever the legal limit is at all times. You know what I mean? So if it means we get a little bit better athlete and a little bit longer career, I think there's things that they should look into promoting.
Right.
And not banning or outlawing, because if it's open to everybody to use and it only betters the product, why would you be so against it? That's where I'm so, like, I don't.
Also keeping them safe from those things. If those things have some really bad side effects.
More so than the Toradol shots consistently in the ass.
I mean, no. I'm just saying, like, I don't mind HGH, stem cells, or I don't even care about steroids really, but
stem cells.
There's a point we want to save these guys from themselves as well.
For sure. I still think it's a skill thing. Like, steroids give you certain things. They don't give you IQ, skills. And one of the biggest things of all in basketball, I think, is the most important is just being a team chemistry guy, because we had Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant on the same basketball team, and they were irrelevant. I think they played like 7 games together. They could all be pumping steroids and they would still not win anything with the Nets. Like, I think, so steroids are one thing, but I mean, that's why when people ask me about Barry Bonds and I didn't really watch him too much, I'm like, dude, you still got to hit the ball out of the park. Yes, having jacked up muscles is there, but timing, swing path, work, like, you didn't just take steroids and not practice. Like, you still had to practice.
He was one of the best hitters in the history of the game before that happened.
Exactly. So, and
then by all accounts, it did happen, and he became the greatest hitter in the history of the game. So, I don't have as much of an issue with it as everybody else, I think, just because to me, if it only enhances the product, what are we really caring about here?
We're in the entertainment business at the end of the day. Like, we are the consumer, they are the producer. Like, let's make them jacked. Like, whatever.
We're acting like the guys in the 70s and 80s weren't on
taking steroids. He'd probably shoot the ball over the hoop, but he don't need it. So
yeah, I mean, like, baseball, 70s and 80s, guys were on uppers and downers and a bunch of cocaine and
drinking beers in between innings.
Yeah, they weren't too concerned about that either. So baseball's checkered story past is long and endless. So test it there first. Let's see what happens if the game comes back.
All right. Last one before we get on to some of our topics here. I think I asked Tony this as well. Quarterbacks, other players, doesn't matter. Who's your, like, NFL Mount Rushmore of players you would just, like, pay to see? Like those were your guys.
NFL. This can be like current or past.
Current, past. Like if those top 4 guys that you just literally want to watch play.
Yeah. I think I'll try to do like one from each category. So my quarterback that I would want to watch in person live. As a kid answer, I would probably say Michael Vick, because I think he was the first to ever like change the game. Like I remember I went to private school. I remember showing up to a free dress in a Michael Vick jersey right after he got into jail or whatever. And I did get sent home that day, but Michael Vick would probably be someone I would love to see play. Running back, growing up, it was LT with the Chargers. LaDainian Tomlinson, like I remember watching him like as a kid, like just tear it through. Receiver, I would probably say live. Oof. I'm between Megatron and Michael Irvin. I think would probably be mine. So I'm gonna go with Michael Irvin. I got to put a Cowboy up there, and then defensive wise, I'm gonna say Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor from
the Giants.
The U, baby.
Nah. I want to see some hard hitting, like CT's already hitting in. RIP.
Yeah. You're talking about Washington Redskins.
My bad. Yes.
Not Commanders, and he is from the U.
The Redskins, yes, from the U.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad. I think I grew up watching him the most. From my dad was a huge Sean Taylor fan, even though we were Cowboys fans. It didn't make any sense, but he was like, "Dude, this guy like."
He was really good. He was really good.
He was like Ed Reed and like Palomalu wrapped into one.
Yeah. Palomalu was like.
And Cam Chancellor.
Oh, so now we're getting closer to like what I remember, but like I was a jersey collector as a kid. Like I had everything but Cowboys jerseys. I had like a Roy Williams jersey. I don't know if y'all remember him, number 30.
Oh yeah,
of course.
I had Roy, but then I had a Palomalu jersey. Why I don't know. I just told my mom like
Palomalu was awesome.
I'm playing with this dude on Madden and his hit stick is crazy. I want his jersey or whatever. So, but. Yeah, I think that would be my top 4. If I could see that in a game, that'd be sick.
You know what's funny, Michael?
Hmm.
I've seen 3. No, I've only seen 2 of the 4 that you mentioned. Yeah? I saw Michael Vick play when he was with the Eagles, so a little bit different.
With Deshaun?
And I saw Calvin Johnson in Denver. Of course, like nothing's going well, and then they Stafford to Johnson for 60-yard bomb. Like it was nasty.
It was something you wouldn't even like think to be humanly possible. That big, that fast, that good, those hands. Like, I hate that he retired so early. I know it was probably a hard decision for him, but I mean, it was the years that I did watch him. Like, yeah, that was great. So, yeah, Cowboy fan. I mean, Cowboys. Like, I don't care. Like, I mean, truthfully, I've never been to an NFL game before. Like I've never had the opportunity.
Hey, same until this year, Mike. Like it's cool.
I've had tickets and crap always happens. Like COVID hit, I had to,
And I've even seen a Cowboys game.
I was supposed to go this year.
Easy, Pinky.
Easy. And it was the Lions, right? So I was like, do I really want to spend this money in Jerry's world to go watch the Cowboys lose? And it just didn't work out. So I definitely will go, but that's the one.
I recommend.
Never been to.
I recommend standing room tickets.
Yeah, no, definitely.
They're like $100. Perfect.
Yeah, I'll go this year if we make the playoffs. So.
We'll talk about that.
Probably next year. Jonathan asked me today at work if we've been eliminated, and I said officially no, but yes.
Yes,
it's true.
Like we're probably gonna lose to the Bucks. We're definitely gonna lose to the Eagles. So just one of those.
I appreciate you telling him the truth and shooting him straight, Michael. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I won't be that. I won't be that delusional Cowboys fan because it just makes us look bad. But yeah,
I know a couple of those, and they're tough to have conversations with.
They are. I mean, yeah, it's tough.
All right, Caleb. Well, let's start talking about. I think the main thing was we want to talk about some college football. We got some matchups coming up this weekend. Let's run them down.
Well, hold up. Before
we gotta talk about this last weekend.
Hold up. Before we talk about college football games, I wanted to talk about the nonsense that is the transfer portal.
Oh boy.
So we know I'm a big proponent of if a coach can get up and leave at any moment, the players should also get to do the same thing. So I don't have an issue with the movement. What I do have an issue with is that the NCAA has made the transfer portal window while the season is still going on. It's not over yet. Now, I also hate how the NFL allows coaching searches to start once the regular season ends. I think that's stupid and ridiculous as well. But that's not nearly as bad as the transfer portal window in college football. The fact that there are players going to bowl games, and more specifically in the college football playoffs, that are deciding to enter the transfer portal and leave their team before the college football playoff games even go off, because if they wait until their team could be out, there may not be a spot open for them because every team's filled their roster positions already.
Right.
It's absurd. It's absurd that once again, the adults in the room have fucked it up. Again. And they continue to do this, especially at the college sports level, for decades upon decades. And they want to blame it on the transfer window and these kids moving around and NIL money and this, that, and the other. There's so many easy fixes to all of these things that I've talked ad nauseum about. But look, transfer portal, it doesn't start until the season is ended. That means the national champion has been named. That's when the window opens. Okay?
I love that.
You get 3 transfers in your college career. That's it. 3. There are no medical red shirts reasons. There are no.
I go with 2. I go with 2. You can transfer twice.
2? Okay, but I'm saying I'll give you 3. You get 5 years of eligibility. That's it. There are no exceptions to that either. You get 5 years of eligibility. If you happen to be injured a lot, I'm sorry, man.
I mean, you can't do 9 like that guy from Miami?
No. No.
Van Wilder?
No. Who is it? Cam Rising and I think Trevor Lawrence, I believe, were in the same same class. Trevor Lawrence has been in the NFL for 5 years now, I believe. Cam Rising just got another year of eligibility for college football.
And Utah's like, yeah, we don't know if we want you to come back.
NIL, you put a cap on the amount a team can have for their NIL spending within their collective. You official make collectives, you make NIL collectives official. And if a player can earn above and beyond whatever the NIL collective wants to pay them, good on the player, go do your own thing on the side, get your own agent, make your own money. But each college can only spend so much within their collective. You put a cap on everybody. There's super easy fixes that could be done that still allow these guys to move around, earn off their name, image, and likeness. There's no cap on individual earnings, just what a school can pay. Like, so many easy things. And they act like there's all these difficult decisions to make that they can't figure out. It's a joke.
Did you see Ryan Williams from Alabama enter the portal?
No way.
No, that's not real.
That can't be real.
I could have swore I saw that on Twitter today.
He's already like a Heisman front runner for next year.
No way that shit's real.
All right. Let's see.
Ryan Williams in the transfer portal. Latest news. Ooh. Says Williams is not in the portal at this time, despite speculation from fans. Yeah, I don't think so.
He's going. He's going in the portal.
I think he is. I mean, it's one of those things where you're starting to see where people care more about money versus like where they play and things like that. And
right.
It's kind of hard because I used to love college football. I still like college basketball sometimes more than NFL.
Let's go Michigan State.
I don't know all
the Jayhawks, Rock Chalk.
Like I'll put on a random college basketball game and it looks like they're playing for the Natty on like a random Wednesday evening. Like they're just going balls to the wall, and it's like that's what I like to see. But yeah, the transfer portal is crap because it's. I agree with you 100%. Like why even like the for instance, here, you know, the Alamo Bowl, Colorado's coming, and everybody was geeked at the beginning, but now it's like, well, is Travis going to play? He says he will, so I hope he does. Shador, hopefully he plays, but the fact that's even a question, right? Like, will they play or not is ridiculous.
They're not leaving their dad high and dry.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a special, but like the guys that sit out of the bowl games, like it should be required. Like you're going to play, but I mean, it's NIL. You're talking money now, so it's hard.
I don't mind a guy sitting if they're not playing for the natty. If you're not in the playoffs,
yeah,
and it's just like the random bowl game, like I don't mind guys sitting because again, they really could impact their entire future by getting hurt in that bowl game. So I don't mind it. I
it's
do
like,
think
why are you on the team if you're only there for the natty? Why are you even playing the other games all leading up there? You know what I mean? And I get it. It's really to get to the league. You know what I mean? Like it's easy for us to say like I'd play, but if I'm looking at the NFL in a couple of months,
after watching Jalen Smith, which as a Cowboy fan you know, and who was that other guy?
Jalen Smith is a good example.
I truly think
Smith that gets hurt that knee, he's never the same again. And like, again, he had insurance and he got drafted in the second round still. So he still was able to have a okay career. But what that guy might have done if he had not got that knee injury, he might have been special.
He was on the verge of generational talent conversations with what he was doing that year at Notre Dame. So, I mean, it's a good example. There's a few others that have been out there, but
coming back to NIL real quick, I just want I've heard Rich Eisen and my favorite guy, Joel Klatt. I love listening to Joel Klatt.
I love Joel Klatt.
And
that's coming from a Nebraska fan.
They've talked about NIL a lot, and Joel Klatt's just like right now, it's just like the Wild West because there's no rules, there's no real regulations, and they need to govern the program. I like Caleb's salary cap. I don't know if they'll get to that point, but because some teams have a larger abundance of money than others. I do like leveling the playing field, but they need to come in and really get these rules in place.
I mean, dude, but people want to talk about like, well, schools don't have that much money. Like bullshit, and you'd be surprised how much money their collectives can raise. Because I sent you guys the tweet from Adam Schefter that he had sent out, and Doug Gottlieb came at him. And then Schefter went back at him with more facts, and Gottlieb didn't say the word after. But Sacramento State, their collective, just announced that they had got to their goal of like $50 million for their NIL because they're trying to become a Division I school, and they want to get into the new Pac-12 when that gets announced in the next year or two. And they're making a push to do that. If a school like that could come up with $50 million on their NIL collective, I'm pretty sure there's more money out there than people want to lead on to. And that's where I find it so hilarious that people are like, well, there's not that much money, or, well, people weren't doing it under the table before this. And now, like, dude, Nick Saban, guys, I don't know how many times I'm going to use this example, but I will probably until the day I die. Nick Saban, during last year's NFL draft, openly talked about tampering with Kenyon Mitchell at Toledo and how they were trying to get him in the transfer portal, and he wouldn't. Nick Saban openly talked about doing it. So if you think Nick Saban was already doing tampering within the transfer portal situations, you think guys weren't getting other deals to come to those schools or go somewhere else? Like, come on. It's just more out in the open. And the reason it's the Wild West is because it is all out in the open now. Yeah. And so the guys who are really good about the systems they had in place doing it under the table and could do it better than others, now that's all gone. Right. So if they can put some, I don't want to call them restrictions, but boundaries, which is the same thing. It's just a nice way of saying it. Some boundaries on what the floodgates are now.
There's just got to be
regulation. It changes everything. Once those boundaries go into place, and they can be simple boundaries like what I suggested, and everything calms down quite a bit.
I love this question from Jonathan. I'm sure we were going to touch on this, but what does UNC do now that they have Bill Belichick as their coach?
Quinn Ewers or Malik Murphy is going to be playing at UNC next year as their quarterback. That's my early prediction.
My bet is Quinn.
That's my early prediction right now.
I think Archie's already proven himself. He can take over, and if Ewers really, really wants to get high, drafted high, he'll go get.
I don't know how much better Quinn can get though. Like Quinn might
it's
be
kind of already been announced behind the scenes. It sounds like that he's coming back
all
for
about decision making and playmaking. I think that's you're right. Talent wise, no, but I think it's more of like a mindset and picking and choosing because he makes some really bad throws and then turns around and makes some really good throws. And it's like Tom Brady never made bad throws. Like it used to piss me off how good Tom Brady was at throwing 3-yard outs and they would take it off 20 yards. And I'm just like, yes, okay, but he had a guy open on the go route, but Tom Brady knew when to pick and when to attack and when not to. And I think coaches teach the opposite right now. They teach them hey, if the go's open, take it. We need to, shove it down their throat on the defensive end.
Big plays are the name of the game.
Yeah, but I think Belichick is piece by piece, 1,000 cuts, little by little. You know what I mean? So, but I don't know. I think that would take a lot. I mean, I don't know if he was, but again, that's another transfer. That's his third, right? Because he was at
OSU.
Oh yeah, Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what Belichick does. He's got to get a quarterback. Yeah. I just think those two are the really most interesting names. Funny enough, both Texas guys. Malik was backing up Ewers. So big time recruited when he went there.
Malik went to
he's at Duke.
Duke, yeah, because they played Duke Miami really tough.
Yeah, he's at Duke this year. So he entered the transfer portal. If Ewers really does come back, he'll be entering the transfer portal. I could see both of those guys ending up there with Belichick too. Because Belichick said if he went to college, he's going to make it an NFL pipeline.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest,
should be that. Every college should be that.
If he finds the right guys to recruit for him, to go on the trail and actually bring in the right talent, I have no doubt he can coach him up. And it's a great meme going around, but there's a level of truth to it that I think people don't want to admit. But based on who he's dating right now, look, Belichick can connect with a younger generation. How much younger, you can debate that, but based on who he's dating, he is able to at least connect with a younger generation.
Yeah,
so that is a pool.
If you've listened to a lot of people talk about Belichick, he's a very fun, interesting character outside of his job.
Yeah, he went to Randy Moss's Halloween party, so I mean, he's down.
But
dude,
coaching is his job, right? Now, him and Saban are close friends. Saban left because he didn't want to deal with the NIL and stuff. Belichick, and it's funny because as soon as they announced this was one of my first thoughts. Everybody's like, oh, he doesn't know how to deal with NIL and this, that, and I was like, yeah, he literally ran the Patriots. This is no different. He's just going to do it at the college level now. And he's got nobody above him. In all technical purposes, he's going to have full authorized, uninhibited control to get to do everything his way with that program.
You think they make the playoff, regardless of who they get as a quarterback?
Look,
I don't know about year one, but
pull up their schedule. I looked at their schedule already.
Yeah.
I could easily see a one-loss season next year for North Carolina.
2025.
So pull up their schedule. Take a look at that for a sec. I will say I have a feeling Belichick put out all of his feelers. He talked to all the NFL circles. There may not have been a job for him in the NFL.
Maybe, but it's not like this is a bad plan B.
No, I think this is great for him because, again, you get to run everything. You get to be the guy. You don't have to worry about
You're right. That's easy.
Their schedule next year with what he's undoubtedly going to bring in, it's
Clemson and Duke, maybe.
Clemson will be good.
I mean, they'll run through. Solid. They'll beat Cal. They'll beat Cal. NC State.
Cal was a tough out this year.
Yeah, NC, Stanford, Virginia, Syracuse, and Wake Forest.
Yeah, that's not hard though. Yeah, definitely not.
Also UCF and TCU. I don't know. You never know.
It's a favorable schedule year one of Bill Belichick.
If they get a good quarterback, I could see it. I mean, yeah.
Watch Kyle McCord leave Syracuse and end up at North Carolina. I mean,
that would be the guy to go get, I think, in my opinion, because he played really, really well, which showed he had more in him. He just needed more time.
If you think you're talented and you want to play in the NFL, it's not a hard pitch for Bill Belichick year 1 and 2.
But
year 3, if he doesn't win those first 2 years, year 3 could make the pitch a lot harder. But those first 2 years, it should be really easy recruiting and grabbing guys out of the transfer portal.
Who's going to be one of your best hype men? Bill Belichick. Coaches know Bill Belichick. They have his number in the NFL. They will call him all day. Tell me about your guy. It's going to be a really great place to go for some folks. I don't know about NIL. I don't know if they have as much money as other schools, for football. I know basketball, different story.
Look, it's UNC. Just stop. Who is their biggest sponsor? Who is the college's biggest sponsor?
Jordan.
I don't know.
Jordan. The Jordan brand is literally the biggest sponsor of the University of North Carolina. You think if he doesn't want to have a little bit of influence on putting NIL money towards the football team, he can't? Like, are you kidding? Like, this is why I think NIL is such a joke when people are like, I don't know how much money they have. Like, well, if there's a reason for them to spend the money, there's plenty of money for people to go do. Like, that's just what it is. There's a reason for that NIL collective to spend some money on that football program right now. So look out. Look out.
All right, let's talk about the games.
Friday night.
You got the games pulled up?
Yep. Friday night we kick it off with Indiana, Notre Dame.
I love that. I love that matchup.
Yeah.
Indiana's got one loss, right?
Yeah, to Ohio State, kind of a blowout.
Yeah, they got decimated.
And Notre Dame's got one loss, right? Their first game of the season.
To Northern Illinois, second game of the season, I think. To Northern Illinois.
That's gross, but yes.
As a semi Notre Dame fan, because I grew up, my high school actually was started by the same priest and brotherhood as Notre Dame, so we're all collective, right?
Okay.
They're gonna lose. Like,
whoa.
They're gonna choke, man. Like, I wish they wouldn't, but they do this to me every year. So
damn.
Oh man.
I think
Michael, you sure?
Yikes.
I don't know, man. I don't feel it.
Let's ask this. If they lose, does Freeman make the jump to the NFL?
Does he have offers?
I think regardless, he does. I mean, I think either way. I mean, I think he's. I mean, thing is, they're kind of like the Cowboys. They have a really good regular season, and then they get to the playoffs, and for some reason, they just don't know how to play football.
Poor Michael.
Well, they do have some limitations, which, and I think this is funny, and I don't know the exact numbers. I can't remember exactly, but part of the reason Lou Holtz was so successful at Notre Dame, and this never gets brought up really, which is wild to me, but he was able to have, it was like 2 or 4 additional scholarship slots available to guys who didn't meet Notre Dame academic standards. And then he had another like 4 spots or something like that were fringe standard type things. Like, he had a lot of lacks with the eligibility within Notre Dame. And that's part of the reason his teams were able to be built a little bit differently than what they have now. So that helped a lot back in the day. And the board's not willing to make those lenient adjustments anymore right now. So they're working with, a hand tied behind their back ever so slightly in that sense compared to all other public universities. But I will say the fact that they're not in a conference. They are independent. If you continue to win, you can almost have a job there in perpetuity. It's one of the harder jobs to leave to go anywhere else in college football, let alone go to the NFL where it's so volatile and you don't quite know how long your job security is. So while I could see him leaving for an NFL job, I could also easily see him staying at Notre Dame for a very long time, whether they ever win or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
Who's next?
Indiana winning that game, I actually kind of like that as well, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Ohio State game was a wake-up call for Indiana. They just weren't quite ready. They weren't quite prepared for the way they needed to go into the shoe and face Ohio State. Do I think they could beat Ohio State again if they went head-to-head? I don't know. I think they're a lot better than they showed that day, though. And I think that offense kind of is going to learn from that. And I do ever so slightly like Indiana in this game.
It's going to be close. I mean, yeah.
I just don't know what to make of Notre Dame. I don't.
Hard. It's hard because, like, if you look at their schedule, I mean, they really. They played two or three maybe ranked teams.
I mean, most of the media predicted them to win their schedule after that game. So that Northern Illinois game. So did they really? I don't know. I don't know what to think about them. This is the game that I looked at. I was like, I don't know. What team do we get?
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for Indiana because, again, they just college football wise, they really haven't had a lot to cheer for. So I think that would be really cool to see them move on.
Yeah.
What's the next game, Caleb?
Next game's going to be SMU and Penn State.
And let's go Penn State.
Yeah, I like that.
SMU is scrappy.
Big Ten. Let's
go. I just don't. Penn State is probably like the best, like 2 or 3 losses. Did they get 2 losses? 3 losses?
Yeah.
Both have 2.
2, and they lost to Oregon
by
and Ohio State.
Yeah. I pick teams to win and sometimes win money based on that. So I'm just gonna say it that way. But I had Penn State beating Oregon last week or 2 weeks ago, and I mean it almost came to fruition. But yeah, I mean Penn State lost to the 2. Oregon and Ohio State.
Penn State should probably roll here.
Yeah,
in all honesty,
I think SMU's best chance was to win their last game. But,
SMU's scrappy.
Yeah.
Could they make it a game? Yeah, but I think Penn State should win this game.
SMU got a taste of what it's like to truly play with the big boys when they played Clemson. And they got knocked around that first half pretty good. And a lot of people were saying the game was over. And they were a kick return away from going into overtime with the momentum. Penn State can be a little Jekyll and Hyde-ish, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Even though they have a veteran quarterback, they have arguably the best tight end in the country.
SMU puts points, man. Like if you look at their games, I think there's one game that they put up less than 30 or 2 games, and a bunch of games over 40. Like they're gonna put, that's the thing. Like Penn State went toe to toe with Oregon. Oregon put up 40, whatever. Like it's gonna be, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be one of those games. Who scores last wins.
Very well could be. Very well could be a coin flip game.
Yeah.
I like the underdog a little bit here. And I do like SMU to pull the upset here.
Okay. I don't hate it, but I just typically when you've got these big schools like Penn State versus a smaller school, like there's usually a size difference that comes into play.
Let's back up on the smaller school. If I remember correctly, SMU is the largest university in Texas, actually, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong on that, but they're up there. Like they're not a small school. And if it hadn't been,
you want to look that up?
They
exactly.
Do you mean like
what's the biggest school in Texas?
Is SMU the biggest college in Texas? Boom. That'll tell you. But if it wasn't for the death penalty that they received back in the 80s, they could have been.
Wait. Hold on. Are we doing this by enrollment or population or what?
Oh, it should give you a couple different answers, right? I'm sure.
I think A&M's.
Well, so the largest school in Texas by enrollment is Texas A&M University College with 74,000.
It depends on what you're going by. I mean,
what's SMU?
12,000.
12,000. Oh, I'm way off. I don't know what I was thinking. That's small. Yeah, small school. But they were competing with the big boys before, the death penalty. And they've been trying to get back to that ever since and have had trouble doing so. So they entered the ACC with an agreement that they wouldn't take any of the TV money for the first, I don't know, however many years. At least the first year for sure. And the first year they're in the ACC, they play in the ACC championship game. So you can say small school if you want to, but they're not, maybe by enrollment they are, based on what I just heard. But
they're a football school.
Yeah, I think they're going to operate on a much larger scale than maybe the enrollment would suggest. So
it's also
keep that in mind.
So people go there to do something. They don't go there for fun. Or if they're rich. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
People go to A&M to say they go to A&M. Like, people go to SMU because they can afford it or because they're playing some sort of sport.
There you go.
I would venture to say maybe the largest private school in Texas. I don't know.
Maybe
TCU,
that's what I heard.
TCU, maybe. I don't know, but
what's next, Caleb?
Next one, Clemson, Texas. This one I am insanely undecided on.
What is this game?
Coin flip the hell out of this game.
What is this game?
These three are all on Saturday.
Yeah.
The Indiana Notre Dame is Friday night, and then these three, SMU, Penn State, Clemson, Texas, and the next one, Tennessee, Ohio State, are all Saturday. So Texas, Clemson, to me, it's a coin flip. And I'm going to say this, and I've been saying this pretty consistently since before the season even started. Arch Manning should have been starting this whole season. He should have been. I said there was a ceiling with Ewers. I think we've continuously seen that, especially both games against Georgia. While they had chances to win those games, they did not, and they did not look explosive at all. And they haven't really looked explosive as an offense when Ewers has been playing outside of a couple big throws. Mm-hmm. Manning brings a different level to the game, and he's a really good thrower of the football, but he can do it with his legs as well. And if you had given him time to develop this whole season, I said this at the beginning of the year, and I fully believe this now after watching Texas the last couple of weeks, that by this time this year, if he had continued to play, he would have had this offense at a more explosive level and a higher ceiling and the same floor as what Ewers has them at now.
It's a fair statement.
And I just don't know if they can beat Clemson.
If y'all, I mean, it's do or die now. I mean, if Ewers has one or two interceptions first half, like it should be Manning in the second half. Like it's nothing about it. Especially if, I don't know, that's how I see it. I don't think there's any hard feelings when it comes to winning bowl games and getting to the playoffs. So
whatever it takes.
And Manning, that boy ready. And like he will not. It can't get worse. Is the way I see it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if they're down or that offense is looking anemic in that first half, don't be surprised if Manning comes in and plays that second half of that game.
Yeah, especially if they're losing. You don't have anything to lose. What do you? I mean, unless it's not. I mean, again, they could be losing, and Ewers could be almost perfect, and it's just guys are dropping passes or running backs are fumbling. Guys are defenses dropping coverage. Like it could be a lot of things, but like watching the game, you kind of see like a different tone when Manning comes in and he goes and like head first into the end zone like a boss. Like I just don't see Ewers doing that anymore. I don't know. Injuries can change people, unfortunately. But I think it's going to be close in the first half, but I think Texas will pull it out in the end.
Texas should pull it out, but
yeah. I think
it might be close if they don't if Ewers Ewers has not looked good since he's come back from injury.
Yeah.
He just hasn't.
He's playing very conservatively. He's like, almost like I'll get it next drive type of mentality. When Manning is like, I'm going to get it done this play. Like, there's no, you know what I mean? So, but Ewers is your guy. You go with him and you let him ride and see what happens.
I want to see Texas move on. I do. I really do. And you said what's the last game, Caleb?
Last game is Tennessee, Ohio State.
Ooh, that's the game. That's the game. Is that the is that the night game?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'll be home to watch that one.
Yeah,
so
that's gonna be a good game.
I think Ohio State ekes this out. I don't have a good feeling about it. They have been very inconsistent for the talent on that roster. There's a lot of things that I don't think are in their favor exactly. But Tennessee hasn't been
throw the football too much.
Tennessee hasn't been some unbeatable juggernaut by any means. And I just think that Ohio State finds a way to get this done.
Yeah, I think the loss to Michigan was just a hype loss. You're on the wrong side of a hype loss. Like so much going on and, just one of those things. And then the Oregon game, I mean, losing by 1 point almost feels like a draw right now in today's college football games, So it was tough.
I don't know who Polar Knights is, but that's hilarious.
Dude, right?
That's hilarious. We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll get there. Ohio State. I think Ohio State should win.
Yeah,
but I do think they need to run the football more. They've got two great backs.
Yep.
And I feel like they get to the point they just start throwing the ball around.
I'm discouraged. Like if they have a few bad runs, then they stop. You know what I mean? Like they've at least. That's what I thought I saw in Michigan.
They've got two studs.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Lions of well, not anymore. I mean, Montgomery's out, but up until this week,
we don't need to talk about it.
Oh, so are you a Lions fan?
Yes.
Oh, it's okay. You got Gibbs.
And I've got 16 people on the defense on injured reserves here, Mike. Like it's not helping me at all.
Hold on, we're not there yet. We'll talk about that though.
Yeah,
all right.
I think Ohio State takes it.
Ohio State is gonna. They should win this game.
They should.
I wouldn't be shocked if they lose. They played some close games. I mean, Nebraska could have beat Ohio State this year, and Nebraska was very up and down. So
that's saying it nicely. So yeah,
they had some moments, Caleb. They had some moments. They didn't support their quarterback very well this season. But again, he was a freshman, so we'll give him some grace. College football playoffs are here. I'm ready for it. I'm excited. This is what we've needed for so many years that I'm just glad it's here. So I will absolutely enjoy it. This is like the month of football. We've got college football playoffs. We've got the NFL getting to the playoffs, which I do think when you look at who's currently in, I don't see any changes. I think all the teams that are right now 1 through 7. I think that's what teams we get on both sides of the bracket. That's my take. Caleb's looking right now. He's like, "Can I prove Pinky wrong?"
No, I'm actually just kind of pulling up because when you said month of football, I mean, Friday, Saturday we get the NCAA first edition of the full field 12-team playoff. Saturday, we have NFL games. Well, Thursday, I should say, is Broncos Chargers. They got flexed into that game, which is absurd that even happened, but whatever.
Hold on. It was Cincinnati Browns for that game.
I don't care.
That's why I got flexed.
No, we'll get there in a second. I'll vent then. But we get a Thursday NFL game. We get Friday, Saturday of NCAA football. We get 2 games Saturday of NFL football. We get Sunday.
This week?
Yeah.
I thought it was next week we start Saturday games.
No, the 21st.
That's this
21st
weekend.
Is next week. Or is it this weekend?
It is the 17th today.
Yeah, that's this Saturday.
Christmas Eve is Tuesday. We're done after
we
this,
got
man.
Texans,
This is it.
Chiefs, and Steelers-Ravens Saturday. So we've got college football and NFL Saturday. Sunday, we've got NFL. Monday, we've got NFL. Christmas Day, we've got NFL.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what? You know what? All I have to say is, KC, deal with playing 3 games in 11 days. Suck it.
That's going to be tough on them.
I don't care. Mahomes is injured anyway. Doesn't matter.
So, yeah, a lot of football coming up, Pinky. I love it.
Yeah!
Absolutely love it.
And a lot of good movies.
I feel about
and good movies.
And good movies. Let's start NFL talk before we dig into some of the games that we saw this last weekend and what we're looking forward to going forward. I think it's a good time to talk. Let's talk about Caleb Williams.
Okay. Bro, bust.
Oh, man.
Dude, he looks like me playing Madden when I get frustrated.
Nah, I don't think he's a bust. I think
there were some plays last night where I was like, "Oh man, that dude's gonna be scary good." Yeah. Like he's learning how to move in the pocket and do the same thing he did in college in the NFL now. I think last night he showed he's got the timing down. As far as the speed of the game. Now, being able to read a defense and stuff, that's a different story. But just the speed at which the guys are playing and his ability to move and bob and weave in the pocket and run and whatnot. I saw a couple of plays last night. I was like, oh, damn, okay. All right.
I also saw a couple of plays. I'm like, that guy's wide open. Why aren't you hitting him?
Fair.
Like, wide open.
Look, he's on pace to get hit more times as a rookie quarterback than any
Absolutely.
quarterback in NFL history. Yeah. Which I never
Hold on. There's no way he gets hit more than David Carr did. Because David Carr took over 70 sacks. That doesn't include hits.
70. He's got, well, it's sacks. Sorry, I said hits. Sacks. David Carr was at 70. Caleb Williams after last night was at 58 or 59 with 3 games to play still. He's right there. So, and again, this is why I say Ryan Poles should lose his job as well, and they should bring in a whole new regime. And that regime should know that whatever you do, you're going to make Caleb Williams successful and start from there. And then if 3 or 4 years from now he is a bust, then you're going to do your own thing.
Caleb, to your credit, you mentioned from the get-go, you draft Fashanu at 9. Even though Odunze's really awesome and a good wide receiver, you already had Keenan Allen, you already had DJ Moore. Fashanu was the guy you should have drafted.
Well, take a step back even further. I actually believe they still should have tried and build around Justin Fields and trade out of that first-round pick.
There's that.
Fill more holes. And going even further back than that, when they had Justin Fields, I said they weren't drafting offensive linemen and they were drafting the defensive side of the ball. And they weren't doing anything to help. Like, there's this revolving door of mistakes that have been going on within that Bears organization. And it's the exact same mistake for like the last 3 decades where they hire a coach or they have a quarterback, then they hire a coach and then that coach fails. So then they fire that coach and then the new coach inherits the quarterback and then they get rid of the quarterback and bring in a new quarterback and then that coach is fired. They've been doing this for like 3 decades, the same exact mistake. I don't understand how, especially in today's NFL, this should always have been the model, but especially in today's NFL, how you don't get a really great offensive line in front of your quarterback before you do anything else blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. So the fact that the Bears didn't just not give Fields weapons, but they drafted on the exact opposite side of the ball when they had a young quarterback. And then Keenan Allen, they didn't have an offensive line, but they brought in weapons. But it was a defensive-minded coach who obviously had no plan on how to develop a young quarterback. And he showed that with Fields and with Caleb Williams. A GM who everybody's like, oh, he's made great moves and he's acquired all this talent. He's acquired all this talent in the wrong spots that didn't build a full team that can actually compete. So in my mind, he's not actually a great GM. He is the one that kept that head coach an extra year. So it's not like he made a great choice there. He brought in the head coach. He kept the head coach. They're a mess.
So
I think I've seen enough with Caleb Williams now to think he can still be really successful. But you better get this next hire right.
So, Caleb, I want to agree with you on a couple things, which doesn't happen often.
Cheers.
Man, everybody take a drink. It doesn't happen. Take a
Doesn't
shot.
happen often. They do need to build inside out. That's evident. I do think only a couple coaches could have made Fields successful. Again, I still don't think he's a great quarterback. But there's a couple coaches I think that could have worked with him and made it work to win games. I do think that's possible. Now, for Caleb, the problem, again, there's just no continuity there on offense. Like, again, you have DJ Moore, you have Keenan Allen, and you have Rome Odunze. They can't run the football. Cole Kmet, they can't run the football. DeAndre Swift was trying. I had him in fantasy. He's trying.
He looked fairly successful in a couple runs last night, actually.
No, it's not him. It's the line
that line is bad. And
line's not bad, and the play calling hasn't been good.
I think it's kind of funny. It's like, what would if Bo Nix had those receivers with the Broncos online, what would he be doing right now? And what would Caleb Williams be able to do if he had a competent O-line? I do think he'd be pretty good. I absolutely do. But right now,
his numbers are still, if we're being honest, his numbers are still on par with Daniels and Nix. They're not as good, but they're pretty damn close.
But they're behind every time, so they're having to throw a lot. And, like, again,
you could say puts him in a worse situation than the other two and hurts his numbers as a rookie.
But that's why they've lost 9 straight.
They're just pinning their ears back and coming after him. So he's not getting the chance to actually accumulate stats. So there's all these things that go into it. But yeah, Caleb Williams, I think, is far from a bust.
Yeah, very far. It's hard to call someone a bust in the first year. I mean, all the great quarterbacks that we sit around and talk about on the daily, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, certain people, they didn't start their first year right off the bat, most of them.
Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers might be the exceptions to that.
Yeah, I think that
Jordan Love.
Jordan
Love came out pretty good too.
Lamar Jackson, I think, started right off the bat.
Half season.
So,
even that, they didn't even let him throw the first 6 games.
It's tough to go into a dumpster fire and expect to be performing at this level.
I mean, it goes back to show you gotta build the O-line. You just gotta. I mean, if he doesn't have time to throw the football, he's not going to be able to get it to all those guys that you have out there.
Here's what blows my mind.
There's a difference between getting to throw the ball and having to throw the ball. You know what I mean? If you're making a lot of throws, if it's by choice, it's successful. If it's we can't run, we can't do anything but pass, that's what the Cowboys were in when Dak was playing. We couldn't run the ball, so everybody was blitzing us, and Dak throws the ball away and makes a terrible throw. It's just you're almost forced into doing that. But Dak got to see Tony Romo play, and Tony Romo I always used to say, if I took Dak Prescott's prime line and put it with Tony Romo and Dez Bryant, Miles Austin, and all those guys, Jason Witten, what kind of stuff? Because if I close my eyes and remember Tony Romo playing, he's running around there in circles and still.
If you have Tony Romo with a defense, that dude is
exactly. A lot of people crap on Tony Romo, but that dude was something.
I'm a big Romo fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Romo fan too. People don't understand how legit that guy was, but he didn't have quite the team, the coach, the defense around him.
That's true.
So I'm a big Romo guy.
Here's what blows my mind about modern NFL, and if this isn't the best example of how you should make sure you build and not make this mistake, I don't know how to help organizations and owners. Because if I immediately saw my GM not doing the opposite of this, I would fire him and immediately go hire somebody else that understood. And that's what the Colts did with Andrew Luck. I personally think Andrew Luck's a Hall of Famer based on my eye test. I know Pinky doesn't agree, and we're not going to go back and forth on that right now.
I agree. By the eye test, he is. Unfortunately, by the career, he is not.
Fair. The point being, what did he play? 7 years? 6 years? The point being, they didn't put a line around him until the year he decided to retire. And he retired in the preseason after one preseason game. And that was the first year they finally had an offensive line in his whole career. They never truly protected him. And it ruined a generational talent. Whether he ever ends up in the Hall of Fame or not, that doesn't change the fact that he was a generational talent.
Yeah, I don't think
and so if you're an NFL organization and you look at that and you don't go, oh, at the very least, we should have this quarterback and then make sure we have an all-pro offensive line. That's all we should worry about until we have it. I don't know what the thought process is. I truly don't. It like your second, in my opinion, your second biggest investment and your second best coach on the team after your head coach should be your offensive line coach. And then your offensive coordinator. Because
we got to the Super Bowl with the direct TV offensive line that they have on there, those fake guys with fake shoulder pads, like they couldn't block anybody, and they got to this. I mean,
who?
The Broncos. I mean, the Bengals. Joe Burrow.
Right.
I mean,
right.
yeah,
that has more to do with.
Look, there's going to be
being
exceptions to the rule for sure,
I
but
agree. Andrew Luck was crazy. Like my dad was a huge Andrew Luck fan. Like I didn't really get it until now that I sit back and watch his highlights, but. Yeah, I mean, when you're running for your life, you can't do your job. If you're always under fire, you can't. I mean, it's tough.
Andrew Luck,
passer. He wasn't a Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson's good because he scrambles so much.
No, he's John Elway. Like he was a great runner. He just wasn't absurdly Supermanish like Vic or Lamar, But
right. No, you're right.
Yeah, it's so if that's not your game plan, like move on. Fire them and rehire until they understand that that's what we do first, because there are so many, and I believe it was Mike O'Connell, the Vikings head coach.
The current one?
Kevin O'Connell. Thank you, Mike O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell, who said organizations fail quarterback, or he was talking specifically quarterbacks, but they fail quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations. And that's like the biggest example. And you're seeing it with Caleb Williams right now. You watched him do it with Fields. You watched the Jets do it with Darnold and Zach Wilson.
Even Aaron Rodgers, like they can't protect that guy.
There's plenty of modern examples of it. You don't have to go that far back in history to see it. And yet they don't learn. And it blows my mind. So the Bears have a lot of things they have to do in this offseason. First, they got to get the right head coach who understands the picture and how to develop him. Second, they need to spend all their capital on offensive linemen because everything else should be just fine.
Yeah, they don't need any more. I'm a big believer that you need one elite or one better than average receiver and then a few role players, right? Like you don't need, 3 all pros, 2 in the slot and 1 out wide to win games if you have nobody blocking for you, because no matter who you get, they're not going to be able to run a 10-yard out with 2 seconds because the line's letting everybody in. You know what I mean? Like the Bengals are my ultimate like example, because they got T. Higgins, who could go anywhere and be a wide receiver 1, and then they got Jamar Chase, who is undoubtedly one of the top 3, I would say, currently. And they're having, Jamar and Burrow are having amazing seasons, but they're 5 and whatever, and probably not going to make the playoffs because, it just is what it is.
6 and 8 now.
If the Bears go out and either trade or draft a skill player or a non-offensive lineman, then they are not investing in Caleb Williams like they should, because he is good. Like he may be a little zesty at times and a little weird on the social media part, like kind of throws me off.
His body language is a little weird.
Yeah,
he does a little weird.
He's got an arm and he can run and he's
the guy can throw it.
And he's very calm. Like he's very, the Washington game was like the Hail Mary was like probably one of the craziest things. I think the Cowboys played right after that, so I was watching the end and I was like, oh my goodness. And he was like the only one on the Bears sideline pissed off, the rookie.
So let's move on to the next thing I just want to talk about before we talk about some actual games and teams and stuff and awards. Talk about the awards. We had 3 quarterbacks benched today.
Yeah, I saw Penix is coming out for the Falcons.
Yeah.
Who else?
So Penix is coming in, and Kirk Cousins, love the guy. He's done a lot. I feel like he's not able to throw the ball the way he's been in the past. Whether that's his Achilles.
I think it is. I mean,
it's just like
people don't realize how hard it is to come back even 90% strength after Achilles. I mean, you put a lot of stress on your Achilles tendon.
And most quarterbacks will say, like, basically what happens is you can't get the ball, like, you slow down mentally as well. Like, you can't get the ball to the guy that you meant to get it to in the right timing that you used to.
I think the bigger issue with Kirk Cousins is they're not running the offense that he's successful at, which is a
Vikings offense.
No, I mean, yes, because that's what, but it's a, why am I drawing a blank on the word I'm looking for, Pinky? It's a bootleg heavy.
Right. Play action, run the ball.
Play action. Thank you. He is a heavy play action quarterback, and he is one of the best in the league at play action quarterbacking. But the Falcons run that on something stupid, like 10 or 15% of their play calls, but really bad.
On top of that, though, he's not under center. He's in the pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's part of play action. A lot of play action, though, is done under center.
But he's not under center. He's in pistol. Like they're choosing to be in pistol.
I know,
because of his limitations.
I don't think it's his limitations. I think that's what the offensive caller wants their offense to be for whatever reason.
I mean, we know. Again, we had this firsthand. Peyton Manning is one of the best play action quarterbacks of all time. His fake was amazing, but his last year they had him in pistol a lot. And it's a lot harder to run that play action out of pistol than it is under center.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but look, I said that a month ago they should have switched, right?
You did. Absolutely.
So this is not news.
When they played Denver, you said that, and they should have stuck with it.
Yeah, so I thought this should have happened a long time ago. Raheem Morris is now it's on the fence of whether this was done too late or not, because the division is almost out of reach with the way Tampa's starting to turn it on and find their groove with Mike Evans back and things of that nature. So
and Tampa's got a favorable schedule to go.
They do now. Atlanta beat them both times this year, and it's like the only 2 games Kirk Cousins played really well. So they've got that in their back pocket. But is there enough time for Penix to get the true reps he needs to truly develop now and make a run? Is he really ready to go? I don't know. But the few balls I saw him throw against Denver, honestly,
they were nice.
He didn't do much. I was like, dude's pushing it downfield in a way that Kurt was not. And I'm a big Kurt guy. You like that? I do.
So
I do like that. So
here's the problem.
This isn't against Kurt. It just – you're not playing great ball. And I think the rookie could actually come in and play better than what you are right now, especially with all the weapons they have on offense.
Caleb, we're going to agree again, which doesn't happen often.
Cheers.
This is too little, too late.
Yeah.
Because, again, I do think they'll beat the Giants. I do. Giants are a dumpster fire. They have no quarterback right now. They're going to beat the Giants.
Either quarterback.
But then they're going to play the Commanders. And the Commanders are wanting to put that stamp on it. I think the Commanders will beat the Falcons.
That'll be an interesting game because it will mean still playoff implications for both teams, probably.
And then the Falcons do finish with the Panthers, which they're not slouches at this point. The Panthers are actually a sneaky good team right now. They are playing hard. So
Atlanta, control your own destiny. The schedule's not the most brutal thing to end the season.
But they don't.
I'm just saying. Yeah, you do. If you're still in the playoff hunt.
They are not. They do not hold it because the Commanders are 9-5 and they're the 7th.
No,
seed.
You're not listening to me. In the sense that if you win out, you could still be in the playoffs.
But they need help though because
I get that. Out. But there's still teams that have been eliminated already that aren't. So they still have a reason to play, right?
Sure.
That's part of the reason you make this move because Cousins almost lost you the game against the Raiders. And you should have put up way more than 15 against the Raiders.
It is favorable for them, though, because I do think – I mean, the Commanders play the Eagles this week, right? They could very much lose that game. If the Falcons can beat them and then the Cowboys – if we're done by then, we're going to go all we can to knock the Commanders out. Like, that's just a fact. You know what I mean?
There is that real good possibility.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Commanders will lose all 3.
And it's not just the wild card that's still in play for them. The division is still in play for them.
For Penix to start only because the Giants will be a good tune-up game for him to, like, see where he's at. And if they dominate and he does good, even if it's against the Giants, he's going to go into that Commanders game, like, ready to go. Let me check. I think it's the Sunday night game. Yeah, that's primetime game. It could happen.
Caleb, technically, they have a chance at the division. You are correct.
Yes.
But I don't see the Bucks losing to the Cowboys.
I'm not saying.
I
look,
don't see the Bucks losing to the Panthers, and I don't see the Bucks losing to the Saints at this point.
They got to lose 2 out of those 3, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then
They would have to lose 2 out of 3.
The Falcons would have to win out, but
crazier things have happened.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is you
The
still have a chance.
The problem is I don't think the Saints are going to be any good with their backup quarterbacks at this point. So
the probability is not there.
All right, what's the next topic, Pinky?
So again, we had Cousins got benched, Will Levis got benched, which is a long time coming.
They're looking for a new quarterback in this offseason.
And they're in a tough spot because they haven't been bad enough to be at the top. That's the problem.
So quick side note with that, I think that's a sneaky place to keep an eye on Sam Darnold.
Because the Vikings haven't signed him.
No, they have not.
He's a free agent at the end of this year, so it's not like they can right now. He can
they
test
could.
the market. Well, it's not that they can't sign him. It's that it does no good for Darnold to sign a contract right now.
Darnold, unless he's happy playing with Kevin O'Connell.
I'm not saying it can't be a good thing for him personally. I'm just saying from a business perspective, there's no reason to sign one with Minnesota right now when you can test the full market in the offseason.
Right.
But if Minnesota chooses to not bring him back, or if they choose that they just can't pay him what he truly feels like he deserves, and honestly, what they'll probably say he does deserve, they just don't want to pay it because of drafting J.J. McCarthy. Tennessee's an interesting one because of who their head coach is, okay? Because they're going to be looking for a quarterback, because I do think they're going to be able to bring in some talent and things of that nature. I think that's an interesting destination for him possibly being at the top of their wish list.
He's a good option because I think
they're not going to draft somebody, right? There's really only 2 quarterbacks in this draft that anybody thinks is worth it.
There's 3. There's 3.
Who's the third?
Dylan Gabriel.
No. No. I don't think he's a great college. He's a great college quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback.
I don't think
that might be true.
He'll get drafted off the height.
He's too alike, dude. Literally, he's too alike.
Yeah, he is too alike.
But again, when you're desperate for a quarterback,
yeah,
again, you're going to make those decisions. So
I'm just saying, if you have a chance at Sam Darnold or drafting Dylan Gabriel, Sam Darnold's going to be way higher on that wish list.
Yeah. If you can pay him $50 million or $45 million, whatever he's
Tennessee could go out there and spend the money. There's no doubt.
And then, unfortunately, Crab Daddy got benched as well.
We already knew they were looking for a quarterback. They're not going to be bad enough because they want to.
No, they're not. They've already said Deshaun Watson is their starter next season.
I know because they have to, but they would be. Look, you really think if they had the number 1 pick, they wouldn't draft like Shedeur Sanders if they could?
They're not going to have the number 1 pick, but the Giants are not winning another game. The Giants and the Raiders are not winning another game.
Did I say that they – never mind.
You just said if the Browns had the number 1 pick. If they had the number 1 pick, I'm sure they would probably choose one of those 2 guys. Absolutely.
I said if they had the number 1, and then they're not going to have the number 1.
But I don't think the Raiders with Desmond
I literally
Ridder,
just said they won a couple of games that they shouldn't have, so they're not going to have the number 1 pick. But if they did, they would probably draft one of those 2 quarterbacks.
But that's a hypothetical that's not happening, so. It's not happening.
That's not what we talk about all the time.
It's a hypothetical that's not happening. They're going to be stuck at 3rd. They're going to be stuck in that quandary of
the
Deshaun
point
Watson.
Being, Pinky, they would get a quarterback on that roster if they could.
Absolutely, but they won't.
They just can't. They literally cannot afford to.
They beat the Ravens and they beat the Steelers, and they shouldn't have done that.
Bad decisions.
The winning football games, it always comes back to bite you.
There's still going to be quite a bit more quarterback turnover. And it's going to be interesting to see how kind of this offseason falls because along with what is it, 6 to 7 teams every year that switch and make the playoffs that didn't from the year before, and then you have
Right.
at least like 8 head coach openings every year. You're going to have 8 to 10 quarterback openings, I think, this offseason as well.
You think?
That could be really interesting.
Yeah.
We might have to have a conversation on that. I don't know. I don't know about 8 to 10. I don't know. We might have to think about that a little bit. That's 8 to 10 might be a lot. All right. So let's talk about a little bit about awards, where we're at now. We got 3 weeks left. Is anybody beating Josh Allen for the MVP?
Yes. And I only say that because people act like Lamar Jackson isn't putting up an insane season right now. He's had 2 off weeks the entire year. And because of those 2 off weeks, and they weren't even bad weeks, they were just good, not great weeks. And because of those and the team's record being a couple more losses than Josh Allen, people are acting like he's completely out of it and Josh Allen's running away. If Josh Allen loses one of these next couple of games and Lamar Jackson wins out and goes on a crazy run in those 3 games, and Josh Allen has one subpar game, I think this narrative can completely flip again. So I actually think Josh Allen does have a slight edge right now because of his last 4 weeks and the fact that the Bills are competing for the 1 seed in the AFC, where Lamar Jackson, that's not even possible anymore. But I think the MVP race is still a lot closer than people are making it sound like.
What do you think, Michael?
I mean, I think Josh Allen will win, but I mean, it's not. It is closer than people make it out to be. It's just how he's winning, how often. But I mean, the Raven, I don't know. Like, Lamar's won it enough. Let someone else win it.
I think what's going to hurt Lamar, this is really bad that it's going to hurt Lamar. But when it's all said and done, I think his numbers this year will be better than last year.
They will.
They will.
And I feel like they're like, we don't want to give it to him for a second time. Josh, and if
the team record won't be as good.
Josh Allen's
Don't blame
next
it on
3
that.
weeks, Josh Allen's going to dominate the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Listen to this, okay? Listen to this. Total yards, Josh Allen, 3,900. I'm rounding up a little bit, but 3,900. Lamar Jackson, 4,300. So he's got him by 400 total yards. Lamar Jackson does. Total touchdowns, they're both at 37. Interceptions. Josh Allen's actually thrown 2 more interceptions than Lamar Jackson, 5-3. Completion percentage. Lamar Jackson has him by 4 points, 68% to 64%. Lamar Jackson's throwing a better ball. Passer rating. Josh Allen is at 103. Lamar Jackson's at 120. The record, though, the Bills are 11-3. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are at 9-5.
They're a toe touch away beating the Chiefs week 1. They're a field goal. They're a Justin Tucker choke game away from being in the same record as.
I will say the other slight edge that you could kind of give Allen, sorry, Pinky, and then I'll shut up for a minute. My bad. But is Allen, you could argue, is playing with less.
Yeah.
And so because he's playing with less compared to Lamar Jackson has, you could argue that gives Allen the slight edge when the numbers are comparable.
There's 2 things I look at. Playing with less is one of them. The other thing is the Bills have been just rolling people that he hasn't had to do things in the fourth quarter. So his numbers are going to be a little bit less than Lamar's when you look at the overall like yards and all that, because he doesn't have to do that. So there's that. That comes into play. To me, I think it's going to be more like voter fatigue. Like, Lamar already won it last year. If Josh Allen's got almost comparable stats and his team's the 1 or 2 seed, it's going to be Josh Allen.
Undefeated at home.
I still think we can make an argument for Joe Burrow. His numbers are up there as well. The record's just not there. Hell,
Saquon.
You can make Saquon. You can make a case for Baker Mayfield right now. Look at his numbers.
Yeah.
You could.
Baker's numbers are right there. He's got 36 touchdowns. He's got 30-some hundred. He's got like 3,800 yards. He's right there. But again, they're 8-6. They had that period where Mike Evans was out and Godwin's out for the year. Like, So again, it's but he could be, if he's in the conversation. I don't hate it. I do think this is like Josh Allen's been building this resume for a couple years now. I think it's just like his time to win that MVP. Yeah. Robert, what do you think?
Again, I mean, I agree with Michael with having somebody else win it. I really think that Josh Allen, with the numbers he's been putting up, it's a good opportunity. Plain and simple.
That's MVP. Who would you give Defensive Player of the Year to?
Ooh, Nick Bonito. But, I mean, that's home team favorite. So
I think he's quietly building an outside case to be Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think he's quite there. And I only say that because TJ Watt is still really, really good. Myles Garrett is still really, really good.
So, do you know?
I mean, it'll go to TJ Watt. I think that's
you know who the betting odds are right now.
I think it's Watt.
So Watt is the favorite at the moment. He's not the odds-on favorite.
But he hurt his ankle. If he doesn't play next week, that can make things real interesting.
I think it's Pat.
Patrick Surtain is 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
but didn't he also get injured on Sunday?
He could be out, possibly.
He could be out for Thursday.
Missed, 2 games? He already missed 2 games?
So
yes, concussion.
Do you know how many sacks TJ Watt has over Nick Bonito?
Can't be many.
2? Is it 12 to 10? It's half. 10 to 10 and a half?
It's 12 to 11 and a half.
Oh, 12 to 11 and a half. Okay.
Bonito is the only player in NFL history to have 2 back-to-back 50-yard-plus touchdowns. That's a record. He's also has a coverage grade as a defensive end of over 80% coverage grade. That's pretty good. Again, he's come out of nowhere. Again, we drafted him 3 years ago. After his first season, I did not see this coming. He had a pretty good second year, but the big thing was he could not set the edge. He's been a completely different player this year. They have absolutely maximized his potential. I will tell you guys, I am super excited. I am going to go meet Nick Bonito this weekend on Saturday, and I'm going to have him sign this full-size NFL Draft 2022 helmet that I've been waiting to get a player to sign. Oh.
Pinky breaking stuff.
I'm breaking stuff. I'm breaking my lamp over here.
I also think I know I tend to follow it because I like to see those odds. But Will Anderson from Houston's actually up there as well in the odds. But I think TJ is going to win it. I mean, he's the best player on an already really good defense. So it's one of those things like, I don't know.
Well, TJ's got the name recognition.
Yeah.
He's up there.
It's also one of those things where, him and Myles Garrett going back and forth, one feeling like they should have won it, the other one wins it. Sometimes it's not all about the numbers, too. You know how much a player does for a team, regardless of double and triple teams. So there's some of that I think goes into Defensive Player of the Year awards more so than any other award.
Yeah.
In the NFL, some of those other factors.
Defense isn't always a stat line. You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing that people don't recognize. You're almost sacking a dude 5 times and getting 5 incompletions. Like that's better than sacking him once and then not even pressuring him at all another 4 times.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, like that's why I think Chris Jones is one of the best defensive players because he doesn't get a lot of sacks, but he's in your face and he's making you throw the ball where you shouldn't or whatever. And it's like it's not a stat line and he doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like he's all about the rings versus those things. I think
we're big Chris Jones supporters around here, so totally agree.
Yeah,
totally agree.
I think if you ask TJ Watt if he'd give back an award for a ring, he'd do it. Same thing with Myles Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it's different, but yeah. I mean, housing one of the best defensive players on your team, knowing we may lose him, is kind of heartbreaking right now. I'm just declaring it here. If we lose Micah Parsons and keep Dak Prescott, I'm going to switch teams with someone else.
Hey, there's no way that happens, bro.
I hope not.
Jerry will pay Micah. They're just going to lose for a long time because they won't be able to field a full 52-man roster after that.
Because they've overpaid every player they should have paid early.
Yeah, they're just not doing good business. We've talked about that.
I just don't get it. I mean, I think in the way you say it's a business, like, how are you going to get paid? Like, how are you going to get a promotion when you barely do your role right now? Like like, I've always been a big Dak Prescott guy. Like, I've always been a fan of his. Like, I think, but lately I freaking hate him. Like, I just think he just doesn't have the killer instinct that people should have.
Michael, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback.
For sure.
When everything else around him is good.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as he's gotten his money, the offensive line has suffered.
Yeah.
His skill positions have suffered. And you can make the case Mike McCarthy's really not that great.
I've never
play calling, right?
McCarthy edition. Like, I really wanted to see what's his name? I just lost his name. He went the one we lost to Washington.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn, there you go. I wanted him. Like, I know he fumbled it with Atlanta, and we came over here and made our defense top notch. But Mike McCarthy, to me, he's just too much on his heels. He's too much of a, yeah, there we go, guys, good job. Like, it's second and 12.
He's not a Jason Garrett guy.
They're close, dude. I freaking hated Jason Garrett. They're not far off. He's a little bit better, but to have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and only get A-Rod one SB, like, what did we really think he was going to come? But at the end of the day, we're never going to get a good coach with Jerry Jones around because he's a micromanager. And if you're offered a lot of money, it doesn't matter. If you knew you were going to go to work every day to be micromanaged and to take the fall for the losses and not the praise for the wins, you're not going to want to do the job.
Are you guys re-signing McCarthy?
I really hope not. But the fact that we're winning games and looking better with Cooper Rush, probably.
That band's coming back, I think.
Yeah, I think he comes back, and I think we have the same mediocre to less below average year next year, even with Dak back. Like, we don't have a running. I mean, we should have had Derrick Henry in a Cowboys uniform. Like, that should have just been a thing. Like, if someone expresses interest, because it's rare where players say, I want to play here in the NFL right now, because their agents tell them, don't say that, because then other teams aren't going to want you. Like, Derrick Henry straight up was telling people, like, I live in Dallas, my family's in Dallas, I want to be in Dallas. And Jerry Jones took that to say, well, let's not even throw an offer out there.
We can't afford Derrick Henry.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, you don't even try. Like, Rico's been playing a little bit better the last couple of games, but yeah, I think we'll bring back Mike McCarthy just because he's ending the season on a high note, especially if we end up beating one of the next three teams. Because contrary to what people believe, I do think we're going to give the Bucs a run for their money.
I don't.
You don't think so?
The Bucs are running the football really well with Bucky Irving.
Yeah, we'll see.
And the Cowboys are struggling with that run game.
Causing havoc. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people realize. But we'll see.
And Mike Evans, if you have fantasy or you bet, put money on Mike Evans. That dude is getting the ball the next 3 weeks.
I don't have him on fantasy, but I did make it through our playoffs at work as an underdog, so I'm on the.
Congrats, good for you.
I had Josh Allen, the future MVP. I had him on my team. So.
Yes. So we had MVP as Josh Allen, Defensive Player of the Year at the moment. If TJ Watt sits the next 2 weeks for injury, I think that opens the door, and then we have a really crazy conversation between Pat Surtain and Nick Bonito.
Well, not really. Pat Surtain sits for one of those weeks, and Bonito keeps playing well. Then he could run away with it.
He could.
That'd be cool. It'd be nice to hear someone besides Myles Garrett.
I'm just excited, like, finally, like, Bonito, who got drafted 64th, the last pick of the second round, to have this kind of, like, just increase and become an amazing player is a really great story, in my opinion.
Those are the dogs, man. I love mid-round people.
And that dude could not set the edge at all his rookie year. That's why he barely touched the field. Like, he was bad.
It's the improvement. I think it's good, especially on your own team. Like,
he was bad his first year. Like, we were like, ooh. Second year, he got 8 sacks, but he still struggled. This year, I don't know what coaching or what they've done to get him to be that player that can play against the run and be a pass rusher. they've done a great job with that. Who's coach of the year?
That one's probably the award that's most up in the air.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell.
I think I know if I remember right, the front runner right now is Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, I was gonna say
after this weekend's games for sure. 11-2. If they win out, they're the 1 seed in the NFC. Keep that in mind.
Wow.
If the Minnesota Vikings win out, they are the 1 seed in the NFC.
So I got the odds right now. You guys want to hear them?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Sean Payton.
Yep.
Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the top 4 guys.
It's either going to be the top 2, I think. And it really depends on how Minnesota finishes out. If they win out and get number 1, it's him. If they don't, I think Dan Campbell with the hype and everybody's so focused on the Lions right now. And the Vikings, they're very under the radar.
The one thing about coach of the year that I've always felt is just part of the situation is it's what are you overcoming? What are you dealing with?
I mean, the Lions overcoming losing potentially their best. I think Aiden Hutchinson's probably their best player.
That's not even without question. He is.
That's an absolute.
You know, I mean, yeah.
I think Sirianni should be in the conversation. I think Andy Reid should be in the conversation.
So Andy is 6th at plus 1,400. Sirianni is 10th at plus 2,500.
Who's
I don't like anybody from the Chiefs winning anything this year at all, but just because of how their wins have been so like Mickey Mouse wins, and it's like I don't think that has anything to do with the coaching because he's
who's above Sirianni. Because the other name I would have up there that I think should be in the conversation is Mike Tomlin as well.
You've got Dan Quinn, Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, Sean McDermott, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay, Nick Sirianni.
Okay. Yep.
So I think as the things have been going, if the Eagles continue on their run, I think you could see Sirianni get into the top 6. But I think most people, a lot of people thought the Eagles would be. I thought the Eagles would be pretty good.
Yeah,
so
we thought Detroit would be really good too. The thing that sets Dan Campbell up there is the fact that Detroit's history, obviously, and the fact that they're on literally their 3rd string defense, like legitimately, like all their first string.
16 people are on injured reserve right now. It fucking sucks.
I know. Like legitimately play like their 3rd string defense. So that goes a long way for him as well, that they've had to overcome that adversity.
I think I agree with the top 3 guys.
Yeah. I
agree with Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell, and Sean Payton. I agree with those top 3 guys. And again, it's what have you overcome? Nobody expected this from the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
You could make an argument. You mentioned yes, you did.
They surprised me in every. When I saw Sam Darnold, I said no way. I just know Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Caleb is a Sam Darnold believer, and he has been for a long time.
Nice.
And Sam Darnold he is where he should be.
Yeah.
I don't think Sam Darnold should leave. If you take a little bit less money, take less money and keep playing where you're at.
You got a good coach. In my personal opinion, I think the best skill receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. To me, this is the biggest storyline once the season's over.
Yeah.
Is what do the Vikings do? That's the biggest
domino of the free agency to fall for sure is what happened with Sam Darnold.
Again, Dan Campbell's overcoming a lot, but there was high expectations from the NFC Championship game last year. This year. So for me, I'm like, you're kind of just doing what expectations had you do. For me, Sean Payton and Dan Quinn, you've got 2 teams who were nowhere near the playoffs last year. Yeah. You could both have rookie quarterbacks. You both are right there for the playoffs. They're overcoming quite a bit. So I like both.
I had Washington in this position as well. The one that does surprise me is the Broncos, because I did not have the Broncos in this position.
I said 6 wins.
Yeah,
I said 6 wins.
You said 6 wins, and I said I had them at closer to 5.
I did say multiple times, hammer the over.
You did.
They'll win more than 5.5.
The Chargers are surprising me too, man. Like
you did not think they were getting to the playoffs, though.
I didn't think the Broncos or the
Broncos
Chargers
are far exceeding expectations. The Chargers are a good one. They've fallen off a little bit, though. That's why I didn't mention Jim Harbaugh and I didn't mention Dan Quinn in my own takes, is because both of those teams have fallen off a little bit from their hot starts.
Mm-hmm.
So while they weren't expected to be where they are, they're not quite exceeding expectations the same way they were before.
Look, the Chargers miss J.K. Dobbins so much.
Yeah,
they do.
So much, because J.K. Dobbins provided an element that Gus Edwards and Kamani Vidal just don't provide.
Shows you how good he really is.
The only reason that I would take Dan Campbell on the edge is that he's, like you said before, he's doing more with less in an extreme way. Like they went toe-to-toe with the MVP going off with no defense. Like that's
depending on the
Jared
season,
Goff.
I think Mike Tomlin should be the front runner. Personally, they could end up winning the AFC North, and if that happens with what he's done and that roster, that quarterback situation, I am a big Mike Tomlin guy, and I literally said if he goes to Russ, it's going to be at the beginning of the end for Mike Tomlin with the Steelers, and I couldn't have been more wrong.
The problem with Mike Tomlin though is everybody expects the Steelers to win.
Yeah.
So
no, they expect him to get above 500, not. They don't expect him to be first in the AFC North and a possible 2 to 3 seed in the AFC playoffs. That was not on anybody's radar either.
They go on the stretch of
them and Sean McVay. Tomlin and Sean McVay might be the biggest surprises this year out of everything.
Yeah. No, the Steelers are streaky for me, but
so there's only 2 games I want to talk about from this last week. Actually, hold on. We got to talk. Who's the offensive rookie of the year?
Offensive rookie of the year?
Yeah.
Well, offensive player of the year is Saquon Barkley. I think we can just go ahead and shore that up and say that's a guarantee.
Sure. He still has a shot at 2,000. I don't think he breaks Dickerson's record, but he has a shot at 2,000.
Yeah, but regardless of what happens, he'll get the offensive player of the year award, right? Like I think we can all guarantee that's happening. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Offensive rookie of the year is still between Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, and it kind of depends on how the season ends of who's going to get it. It's anybody's game right now.
I'm a believer.
I think
Bo didn't do himself any favors this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean,
who's going to mess up the least moving forward? I think Jaden Daniels has a good chance to.
They're both having a little bit of rookie regression late in the season, which isn't to be unexpected. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they both finish the season, because whoever finishes, I think it's a coin toss right now. In all honesty, I think it's a coin toss between those two.
Well, and they play very similar, tough opponents. Like the Broncos, the Chargers defense is good.
Yep.
And then the Broncos play the Bengals. Defense is bad.
Yeah.
And then they play the Chiefs, who the defense is good, but if they're sitting their players, they might be bad. So, again, there's some leeway there. For Jaden, he's playing the Eagles this week, whose defense is pretty good.
Might be the best in the league right now.
Yeah, I think if he beats the Eagles, he'll get it.
That's an argument. The numbers for the Eagles, the Broncos, and somebody else are almost identical. The Broncos are the only team that have 30-some points scored from their defense, so they kind of get the edge.
Yeah.
But the Commanders then play the Falcons. He could have a good game against the Falcons. But then they finish against the Cowboys. He could have a good game against Cowboys. So it's up in the air. I do still think Brock Bowers has some consideration, in my opinion, just because you could make an argument he's the best tight end in the league right now.
I don't think so. I'm tired of hearing that.
But I do think right now with Desmond Ridder, he's not going to get the numbers he needs to put.
They ran a lot of plays to the tight end, and he was open, and they threw him the ball. Don't get me wrong. He caught the ball, and he ran with the ball, and he's a really good tight end. But this idea that he's the best tight end in the league already as a rookie when there is some insane talent at the tight end position, I think is a little absurd.
His numbers are the best right now of any tight end in the league. Just saying. Could be empty stats too. That could be a thing.
Yeah.
But the numbers say he's at the moment he's the best tight end in the league.
Well, I think he's the best offensive player on the team as well. His team, he's the target.
Right. That team's off.
Yeah.
the Raiders are so bad.
I think he has the potential to surpass a lot of the top tight ends right now. Travis Kelce is having the weirdest year ever. I'm so glad I did not draft him in fantasy. I took Dalton Kincaid, and even with the injuries, he's still done better for me. So, you know,
I don't know if that's true, Michael.
he did okay. I mean, I had him and I had Goddard from Philly, and he would get hurt. Like they would just switch off injuries. So the tight end has been crap this year. If you didn't have Bowers in fantasy.
All right. So the last thing we talk about from this last week. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Who's Defensive Rookie of the Year? Let me look at the odds.
I think there's a lot of guys kind of in that running right now.
So this is pretty good. Number 1, according to DraftKings, is Quinyon Mitchell.
He's playing insanely well. Rookie quarterback on some islands for Philly.
Number 2 is Jared Verse.
Yep, playing
He's
great
awesome.
on that interior line for the Rams. Part of the reason they're looking better over the second half of the season.
Number 3 is Chop Robinson. He's going to be awesome. I think that guy's going to be amazing. Number 4 is actually Jared Verse's teammate, Brandon Fisk.
Yeah.
We've got Tarheeb Still at +4. I don't even know who that guy plays for. Anybody know?
Doesn't tell you?
It does not. It just says Tarheeb Still.
I'm drawing a blank on that one. Sorry.
Robert, Google that. Tarheeb.
I think we can stop there, though. I think it's kind of Quinyon Mitchell.
It's pretty common after that. It's Cooper DeJean, Latu, Kalen Bullock,
He's on
Jonah
the
Ellis, and Jarvis Brolin.
He plays for the Chargers. Is
he the linebacker for the Chargers?
Cornerback.
Tarheeb Steele. So cool. It's Quinyon Mitchell and Jared Verse. I mean, those guys are like, it's +100 for Mitchell. It's +140 for Jared Verse. So it's going to be one of those two guys.
All right. What's the next one you wanted to talk about before we start looking at getting out of here for the evening?
So let's we got to mention it. Is the Jonathan Taylor fumble not the greatest boneheaded play of this season?
That's not the only one from this season, though.
It's not. But it changed the entire outcome of that game.
So did all the other ones. I swear to God.
But this is literally they had a shot. If they win the game, they're at 50% for the playoffs. If they win the game.
The one that Malachi Corley had with the Jets, you could argue completely changed their season. They are all bad. They're all just bad.
But that was week 3 or 4. So again, it's
this one was the most detrimental, at the time.
I think they're all equally as bad and dumb, and I don't understand it in the least bit.
Well, there's impact. If you do it, week 1, and then y'all still finish good, but if y'all are trying to fight for a playoff spot and you make that mistake.
I mean, Malachi Corley, when he did it,
one play determines a game unless it's at the end, but even then it's there's all these opportunities of success throughout the game. But
I'm pretty sure Malachi Corley did it early in the season, and they actually still had a chance to win that game.
It was Halloween night, was it not?
Let's see.
Yeah, that was terrible.
So
one job, millions of dollars.
Either way, I don't care when it happens. I don't care what it is. It is always bad. Yeah. Always. Because when it happens, you've always had a guaranteed 6 points, and you took it off the board because you decided to let go of the ball early, which is crazy to me.
Anytime you take points off the board, it's bad. It's getting tougher and tougher to score touchdowns sometimes for struggling teams. So when you can get them, it's the same thing as a penalty. When you
that was against the Texans, and it was Halloween, and they had they were still they definitely could have used that game, and that kind of flipped. They still had a chance to win that game at the end, but it definitely
could have changed the entire trajectory of their season. Could have changed the outcome. If they had gotten that, I believe they went up 14 or 17 or something like that going into halftime, if I remember right. It completely changes that game, and it could completely change the trajectory of their season. So, They're all bad. They're all detrimental. They all have an impact. They all can change the course and trajectory and everything else. It shouldn't happen. It just and in Malachi Corley's situation, and Jonathan Taylor's situation, and a lot of other situations, it wasn't guys being boastful. Like they didn't go do some crazy celebration afterwards and try to make it all about themselves. They all literally like dropped the ball and ran to their sideline. That was their celebration. The problem is they just dropped the ball like, 1 second too early, and so then now they're not celebrating anymore. That's the craziest thing about it. Is none of them try to like do this make it about me thing afterwards.
Like I don't know if y'all remember that DJ Moore Hail Mary from when he was with the Panthers and he caught it and then did that he took his helmet off or whatever and then that whole like that to me
cost him 15 yards on the field goal and they missed the extra point and
losing. Right?
And he wasn't doing something all about me either. He literally thought he caught the game winner, took his helmet off, and ran over to the sideline. But because he took it off while he was still in the end zone, they considered it a celebration. Like,
it's crazy. Like it's But I mean,
stupid stuff, man.
You
can't do it.
You have to pay attention to what you're doing at the end of the day.
Can't do it. Yep. You just can't.
I just don't even get it. Like, and again, I was always an O lineman or D lineman, so I wouldn't have had a chance to run the ball or score a touchdown anyways.
Yeah.
But like as a running back, you're always holding the ball so it doesn't get like ripped out.
I was a little like a slot tight end / receiver. Like I only played football my freshman sophomore year. I think I had one career touchdown, and I didn't even celebrate. I just took the ball to the ref, so there was no chance of any issues, right? But it was different It was different. I wasn't used to
like it's real easy. You either hand the ball to the ref and do your celebration, or put the ball in the end zone on the ground and do your celebration. If you do either one of those things, you are guaranteed to never have this happen again. I'll guarantee you.
Spin the ball in the end zone.
Hey,
drop it.
I guarantee you, Malachi Corley and Jonathan Taylor will never let this happen again.
But
the fact that it's still happening on a somewhat regular basis on every level of football blows my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I will say one thing about that Broncos game. I realize I'm at the point now, because I'm all in, that I expect the Broncos to win, to where when they're playing shitty, my blood pressure definitely raises.
Mm-hmm.
I do not watch a Bronco game with me right now.
The opposite. It's like when the Cowboys start playing good, I'm like, what's going on here? Something's not right.
Broncos playing with house money right now. Everything is cherry on top kind of scenario at this point. So I'm good. I'm good.
I know, but I knew they should beat the Colts. I knew that the defense should rise up against Anthony Richardson, and they weren't, and that just had me just like so.
Pinky, I'll leave you with this thought. There is a legit path for the Broncos to make the Super Bowl, where they play the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game. There is a very realistic path right now with the way the seeding is. That they could very easily, you could see them winning out into the Super Bowl.
The Broncos need a couple things to happen. They need to make it in the playoffs, and they need to not play Baltimore or the Bills. Everybody else, I think they can beat, without a doubt. They can beat the Texans.
I agree.
They can beat the Steelers, and they definitely can beat the Chiefs. All three of those things could happen, but if they play Baltimore or Buffalo, I just don't see them beating those.
And I was telling Jonathan the same thing today because he's a Steelers fan. So I said the same thing about the Steelers. I said if you let someone else take care of the Bills, like you guys have a chance. Because if the Steelers and the Broncos end up playing in the AFC Championship game, that is such a anybody could win matchup.
That'd be absurd.
I think the spread would be like 1. You know what I mean?
Absurd.
I think it would be the most, and I think that is that's what football needs. But that's not what football will get.
I'm a big Broncos guy, so of course I heard the quote. Did anybody see the quote from Bo Nix today?
I did not.
And it's our press conference day before the game on Thursday, and a reporter asked him about, hey, you just got to win one more game, and Bo Nix said, no, we're going to win 3 games, and then we go make the Super Bowl. And walked off. It was like a mic drop. He walked off.
He's got 7 years of college experience. I mean, I don't know.
He only had 5, Mike. He only had 5.
I'm a big Bo Nix fan. I like him.
I'll tell you what. This weekend, I was just kind of looking through my draft videos since I go to the draft every year.
Mm-hmm.
When Bo Nix got drafted, and it brings a little tear to my eye, I've got the video of Roger Goodell coming up to the stage. We're in the crowd, and he announces Bo Nix, and my son yells, and he's a Browns fan. He's not a Broncos fan at all.
Oh.
He yells, Bo Nix, the steal of the draft. Brings a tear to my eye.
There you go.
Brings a tear to my eye.
It could
and
be.
I was like,
look a lot more like that than the reach and bust that a lot of people are trying to claim. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely a bust.
With that all being said, Michael,
yes.
Final thoughts, good sir, as the guest this evening. Anything you want to say? It doesn't even matter if it's something we talked about and you just want to throw out there. Whatever final thought you'd like to have, sir.
Oof. That's tough. Man. I just want to see someone besides the Chiefs win a Super Bowl this year. That's my
facts.
Yeah. I mean, I really like as a Cowboys fan growing up watching the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, you also see the Lions play on Thanksgiving. I love Amon Ra. I think Jared Goff is just a dog, and Gibbs is just like the perfect epitome of a running back I wish we had, right? I want it to be the Lions, but I'm a big golf guy. We didn't really talk about golf, which is cool. I golf as my hobby, and I follow Josh Allen's, his golf. He's really into golf, so I get to see him a little bit more outside, and I really hope that dude wins a Super Bowl this year. So, but I'll be rooting for all y'all's teams because I know where my team will be. So,
solid.
I would not mind seeing the Broncos or anybody but the Eagles, man. Please.
All right. Robert, final thoughts, good sir.
So I'll end with this. For sports things, I'm excited for Thursday Night Football for the Broncos. I'm pumped. There's a potential that I end up with Pinky and watching the game. We'll see where that goes. However, Thursday also holds a very special moment. At 8 a.m., the new Superman trailer will be released, and I am stoked. So, looking to see where that goes. I'm hoping it's everything that.
Are you in office that day, or are you at home?
I'll be there.
Okay, cool.
I love how he said that. Like somehow that's the thing that's going to prevent him from watching the game with you Thursday night.
It's not like that's happening first thing in the morning. What happens?
I know.
Thursday
It's
night,
just
I
the
don't
way
know.
you said it made it seem like that had something to do with whether or not you were going to watch the game with Pinky.
No.
Pinky, final thoughts, good sir.
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Man, I am all in on the Bo Nix train. I am all in. Every time that guy talks, speaks, I do see he did not play well Sunday. But at the end of the day, he still had 3 touchdowns. And if you look at the 3 touchdowns he threw, they were pretty damn good plays.
They were dots.
So I'm just all in. Him and Sean Payton, I believe. And whether they do anything in the playoffs, like whatever, they're going to get more salary cap. They've got the richest owners in sports, so they can front load contracts. The draft is coming up. We have all of our draft picks. I'm
jealous.
I am just stoked, man. And I'm excited to go meet Nick Bonito on Saturday. I'm excited about that. I'm going to take my draft helmet, and then I think I'm going to get a regular helmet signed as well. So it's a good time to be a Broncos fan. We're finally back. We finally have some positivity. For the last 8 seasons, talking about the Broncos was pretty sad. So.
True. Look, we've finally got the first true, honest, real CFP. Yeah. And I am stoked. It goes down starting Friday night. A lot of football coming up in the next couple of days. We are off the next 2 weeks after this. Look, we preach family. We preach inner circle and spending those quality moments and cherishing them with those people that you truly love. Next Tuesday is Christmas Eve, and the following Tuesday is New Year's Eve. So we mean what we say. We practice what we preach. We will be off the next 2 weeks because of where the holidays land, and that time with that family you don't get back. So to anyone that follows us, supports us in any way, we say it all the time. We don't care how cliche it ever sounds. We cannot thank you enough, and it means more to us than you will ever know. We're on social media. We'll continue to post. We're going to try to put out some clips, little tidbits from us on, games or things we see over the next couple of weeks. So we'll still try to give you some thoughts and things to look out for, but we're off. And we hope everybody has a fabulous Christmas, holiday weekend, holiday season. As always, cherish those moments. Cheers. We're out. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street.